Hey, everybody, welcome to Radiant Rhythms. We at Radiant Church want to help you be a radiant disciple of Jesus. So these shows have the aim to help you between Sundays develop habits and rhythms and disciplines as you follow Jesus. And I have Skylar and Dory with me today. And most of you are all familiar with Skylar and Dory. And one of the things that I talk a lot about on Sundays is about parenting, but I'm parenting mostly teenagers. My kids are between 11 and 17. And you guys are in this critical age where you have little children and you're wanting to help them be followers of Jesus. And one of the things that we always talk about is that you start young. Like, you can never start too young. Yeah. And so tell us just a little bit. We have people out there that have no kids yet, that have little kids, that have teenagers. But let's dive, some grandparents, let's dive in for just a moment on some of the things, some of the rhythms that you've developed as a family that are helping your little tiny kids be followers of Jesus.
Yeah. So Lauren is our 5-year-old, and this summer she actually decided to give her heart to Jesus.
Come on.
And since that moment, I have felt the Lord press on me, teach her to know my voice. And so one of the best ways that we can do that is teach her how to pray. Yeah. And so the best time I have to do that is in the morning. So we have 28 minutes to school. And so I utilize that time to be strategic in how we can be praying for our hearts and how we can be praying for other people. Mm-hmm. And so even a few weeks ago, we were in California, and I just asked her, I was like, Lauren, has Jesus been speaking anything to you? Mm. And she said, well, I told him, I love you, Jesus. And I heard him say back, I love you, Lauren.
Come on.
And so I'm just trying to encourage that. And like, you can hear the voice of God and teaching her how to listen. But specifically, I want to teach her how to pray. And so in the car, I'm asking her about her classmates. Even this morning, she said, one of my friends wasn't at school yesterday. And I was like, oh, was she not feeling well? And she said, no, she had a family member pass away. And I was like, that can be really hard to deal with. And I was like, would you like to pray for her? And she said, yes. And so I lead by example, and I pray first. And then I ask her, are you ready to pray for her? And she'll pause and she'll pray for her. And then there's another kid in her class who was kind of a little bit of a troublemaker, and she's had a hard time with. And I said, do you want to pray for him? And she's like, I don't know that I want to. And I said, sometimes people that are difficult just need to know the love of Jesus. And so I said, do you want to pray for him that he would encounter the love of Jesus? And she's like, oh, that's a great point. And so we stopped and we prayed for him. And then she said, Mom, I feel ready to go on with my day and to go show the love of Jesus to my classmates. And a 5-year-old saying this.
Come on.
Yeah. And so
good. Let me jump in on that, because we're talking about one of the easy times in the midst of the busy lives we live is being intentional with discipleship while we're on the road. Yeah. And so we can read Deuteronomy, where it talks about as you lie down, as you walk along the road. And this would be a modern day approach to while you're walking along the road. We don't usually walk along the road. We usually drive. But the idea in Deuteronomy is all the time. And so as parents, we're always making disciples. And I love what you're saying about that strategic time, no matter what age. So if you're a grandfather, it's a moment where you could even connect with your middle-aged son, right, on the road. Or if you're discipling teenagers, or if you're a parent with little tiny kids, car time can be discipleship time.
Absolutely.
Car time is strategic time. Car time can be easily wasted with ESPN radio or with Fox News or with any other of your favorites, right? I mean, pick your favorite news, pick your favorite, but it could be, and nothing wrong with those things.
Absolutely.
But if you'll get strategic with it, I look at when my kids were little, and we had prayer times on the way in the morning. But one of the things that we found is that in the afternoon, it was a little bit harder to pull in. Because in the morning, you can kind of go prayer, everybody's ready. But in the afternoon, everybody's a little more laid back. And so one of the things we did is we developed, we played these Seeds CDs where they sing the Bible. So it's like, don't be anxious about anything, but instead pray about everything. Well, now my kids have those verses are in their head. So it's kind of like almost like catechism, only we're getting the word of God in them. And so prayer is a way, reading the Bible. For us right now, we have teenagers, And we don't do listening to the scriptures with little kids songs anymore.
Right.
But when we jump in our expedition where everybody jumps on in, now it's everybody has a favorite worship song.
Yep.
And so we'll
Totally.
go from one worship song to the next, and that card time is strategic time. So I
Absolutely.
love that, Dory. Really good.
Yeah, no, that is our life. We have the kids arguing at which worship song we can play first. Can we play Oceans first? Can we play Something's Rising? And they'll both cheer and they all sing Something's Rising together.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to see. I think a lot of the time before I was a parent, I didn't realize the depth a child could have. And also something you even said a couple weeks ago during the Daniel series is you said, it's the time for passive parenting is gone.
Yeah.
Like it is time to be aggressive after our children.
Yes.
And knowing that the enemy's just as aggressive after them.
Yep.
And we've seen that even in dreams Lauren's had and even in different fears and worries. And we've had a lot of family things happening recently. But Lauren's had the attack of the enemy coming for her, but teaching her that our way, our battle is through prayer and our battle is through the word. And so Dory has been reading the scriptures to her at night. And it's interesting because Lauren can't read yet, but she remembers everything. And so Dory's holding up her Bible. She's doing talking through who Satan is. Lauren's like, who's Satan? Who's this guy? Like, where did he come from? But really having a conversation deep about who he is. Suddenly, what we see is Lauren teaching it to Finley. Finley's
right.
3 years old.
It was.
Lauren's sitting there holding up the Bible.
She's preaching to him.
Yeah.
Come
You
on.
need to get rid of the sin in your life,
Yeah,
Finley.
yeah. She
Okay, can I just be old school preacher for a minute?
Yeah.
did us.
So what you're seeing with little tiny kids is disciples that make disciples. So Matthew 28 is go and make disciples of all nations, teaching them to obey everything. So Jesus is actually telling his disciples to go make disciples. So you're seeing a 5-year-old disciple a 3-year-old,
Yep.
right? And it's possible not just to make disciples of your kids, but to teach your kids to make disciples so
Right.
that
Yeah.
a little kindergartner is teaching. I mean, that's beautiful in your home,
Yeah,
guys.
Yeah.
it is.
That's incredible. And don't let anybody talk you out of this. Don't let anybody say you're crazy and this is too intense. Listen, the enemy and all the schemes, when you're parenting in Babylon, there is a day coming where you will not regret any moment where you were strategic with praying with your kids, teaching your kids the Bible, teaching them to teach others. It's very strategic. So I love those ideas. Love what's happening. Tell me what God's doing with Lauren right now. Just give us that story.
Yeah, so since Lauren came to know Jesus, she told me as I laid her down on a Sunday, she said, Dad, I decided to give my life to Jesus today. And it was just this moment of like, how did this happen, right? Because like you think as a parent, what am I doing that is leading this? And really it's multiple things. It's us, what we're showing her as an example. So Dory and I crying out to God together, praying together, worshiping together. We don't hide things from them. So like if we're crying because something's hard and we're praying, they see it. And so when Lauren sees that, she replicates it. And so what we've seen in Lauren is just her, just having dreams and just feeling the burden of people coming to know Jesus and knowing that Jesus can heal. Something I love is we were watching a show and it was actually about the lame man that couldn't walk and he was being lowered into the building
Chosen.
in the Chosen. And Jesus was sitting there and he was talking to the lame man. And I was watching Lauren the whole time and literally just love of crying. Like she started crying.
Wow.
Like,
It touched her,
oh my
yeah.
gosh, like this is the man I know. This is the man I pray to every day. And it was like, because she had spent so much time alone with him,
Yep.
she knew him when she saw him. So when she saw him, it was this, oh yes, that's Jesus. And she tells us all the time, Jesus loves me way more than you, Dad. And having that as a 5-year-old and realizing that, I just realized as a parent, I couldn't have done it alone.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's better than your investment portfolio. That's better than having a big house.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
And so keep fighting for it. Keep
Yes.
going
So
for
good.
it. And I love those things, but I want to just encourage you guys. I'm so proud of the way that you're making disciples of your kids. Good job, good job, good job. Thanks so much for joining us today. We love what God's doing in our church. We're celebrating all that God is doing in your life. And our dream is to help you know God and find freedom, discover purpose, and make a difference. And today, we're just aiming for many of you guys that are in the thick of it with little kids. But no matter where you're at on your journey, we want to encourage you to keep making disciples, keep investing in the next generation. We love you. Remember this, Psalm 34:5, those who look to him are radiant.